Picture this: Halloween night, 1963. Suburban America at its most innocent. White picket fences, carved pumpkins glowing on porches, children's laughter echoing through tree-lined streets. Haddonfield, Illinois, a town where everyone knows everyone, where doors stay unlocked, where nothing bad ever happens. Until it does. Inside a typical two-story house, a 6-year-old boy stands in his sister's bedroom, a kitchen knife dripping in his small hands. His sister lies dead. When the police arrive, when his parents pull off the clown mask he's wearing, they find something that chills them more than the crime itself: his eyes, empty, vacant, as if the child they knew had simply vanished. You can't kill the boogeyman. This warning, whispered throughout the franchise, proves prophetic. But what makes a 6-year-old become a boogeyman? What transforms an ordinary child into the most terrifying figure in horror cinema? For 15 years, Michael Myers sits in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, silent, motionless. Dr. Sam Loomis, the psychiatrist assigned to his case, spends thousands of hours trying to reach the boy, trying to find some spark of humanity, some explanation for what happened that Halloween night. What he discovers terrifies him more than the murder itself. He's not treating a patient, he's studying pure evil wearing human skin. October 30th, 1978, the night before Halloween. After 15 years of absolute stillness, Michael moves. He escapes. He steals a car with a precision that suggests he was never truly catatonic, merely waiting. And he drives back to Haddonfield with a single-minded purpose that defies human understanding. His first stop? A hardware store, where he acquires the mask that will define him forever. It's a Captain Kirk mask. Yes, William Shatner's face, spray-painted white. Cheap, simple, purchased for less than $2. Yet this featureless mask becomes the most iconic image in horror history. Why? Because it reflects nothing back to us. No anger, no madness, no humanity. Just a blank white surface that forces us to project our own fears onto it. What makes Michael Myers different from every other slasher villain? Why does he endure when countless imitators have faded into obscurity? The answer lies in what John Carpenter understood about primal fear. Michael doesn't run, he walks. That steady, unhurried pace somehow makes him more terrifying than any sprint ever could. You can run from him, hide from him, even seemingly kill him, but he keeps coming, slow, inevitable, like death itself. Carpenter's original vision presented Michael as the shape, not quite human, not quite supernatural. He exists in the uncanny valley between rational and irrational horror. Is he impossibly strong, or does fear make him seem that way? Can he truly not be killed, or does he just refuse to stay down? The film never answers these questions definitively, and that ambiguity burrows into your mind long after the credits roll. Consider his methodology. Michael doesn't attack with frenzied rage like other killers. He stalks. He observes. He tilts his head in that disturbing, bird-like manner when studying his victims. There's an intelligence there, cold, calculating, completely alien. He sets up bodies as tableaus, staging crime scenes with an artist's precision. But to what purpose? What is he trying to communicate? The films never fully explain, leaving us to wonder what thoughts, if any, exist behind that expressionless mask. The silence is his deadliest weapon. No threats, no taunting, no manifestos, just breathing. That mechanical, raspy breathing that sounds barely human. While Freddy Krueger jokes and Jason Voorhees grunts, Michael offers nothing. No personality to grab onto, no weakness to exploit, no humanity to appeal to. He is absence embodied, the void where a human soul should exist. The iconic score amplifies this terror. Carpenter's minimalist piano melody, played in an unnerving 5/4 time signature, creates a sense of something fundamentally wrong. It mimics a heartbeat, but one that's just slightly off, suggesting something that looks human but operates on alien logic.
Then came the complication that would haunt the franchise for decades. Halloween 2 revealed that Laurie Strode, the final girl who survived Michael's rampage, was actually his younger sister. This revelation fundamentally transformed the mythology. Suddenly, the random violence had an explanation. Michael wasn't hunting teenagers indiscriminately, he was completing the family annihilation he'd started in 1963. The motiveless evil that made him so terrifying now had a motive, however twisted. The sequels ran with this concept, following Michael's pursuit of various family members, his niece, Jamie Lloyd, Laurie's son, John, and eventually back to Laurie herself. This family-focused narrative drove multiple films, creating increasingly elaborate explanations for Michael's behavior. Was he driven by a supernatural force, a druidic curse, some compulsion embedded in his DNA? For many purists, this shift represented a fundamental betrayal of what made Michael terrifying. The boogeyman now had comprehensible psychology. He wasn't an unknowable force of nature, he was a man with family issues. Deeply disturbing family issues certainly, but family issues nonetheless. The mystery evaporated, replaced with increasingly convoluted mythology. Yet, this era of the franchise explored fascinating territory. Watching Michael pursue young Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 and 5 added new dimensions to his character. Was there some twisted protective instinct when he seemed to hesitate with her? Or was this just another face of his evil? The films suggested Michael represented a hereditary evil, something passed through bloodlines like a genetic disease. Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. Dr. Loomis's warnings grew more apocalyptic with each sequel, positioning Michael less serial killer and more as a supernatural plague. The man who studied him for decades became his Cassandra, forever warning a world that wouldn't listen until bodies started dropping.
The Halloween franchise's continuity makes quantum physics look straightforward. After 6 mainline sequels, the series essentially fractured into multiple timelines, each offering different interpretations of who and what Michael Myers truly is. Halloween H2O 20 years later, 1998, took a machete to continuity, ignoring everything after Halloween 2. This timeline brought back Jamie Lee Curtis for a confrontation 20 years in the making. Here, Laurie had become a functioning alcoholic, hidden under an assumed identity, suffering from severe PTSD. When Michael finally tracks her down, we get a final girl who's become a warrior. She seemingly ends him by decapitation, definitive, brutal, final. Except Halloween Resurrection revealed through a convoluted plot twist that she'd actually killed a paramedic and Michael survived to kill again. Then Rob Zombie took his turn in 2007, offering perhaps the most controversial reinterpretation. Zombie's Halloween gave us Michael's childhood in excruciating detail: the abusive stepfather, the bullying, the stripper mother, the progressive deterioration of a troubled boy into a monster. We see the murders as the work of a damaged child acting out in the most extreme way possible. This version made Michael comprehensible, terrifyingly so. He wasn't supernatural evil, he was the product of an abusive environment. Zombies' Michael was huge, brutal, and animalistic. Where Carpenter's Shape moved with eerie grace, Zombies' Michael attacked with savage fury. He wasn't fate, he was trauma incarnate. Critics divided sharply. Some appreciated the psychological depth and gritty realism. Others felt it destroyed what made Michael special. When you explain the monster, when you make his evil comprehensible, does he stop being the boogeyman? Can fear have a backstory? Then came 2018's Halloween, And David Gordon Green did something remarkable. He erased everything. Every sequel, every explanation, every piece of mythology accumulated over 4 decades. Gone. This new timeline connected directly to Carpenter's 1978 original, as if the intervening 40 years of sequels never happened. And Michael wasn't Laurie's brother anymore. This creative decision restored Michael to his original, most terrifying form: random evil. Laurie was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time that night in 1978. No family connection, no supernatural curse, no explanation. Just a man who kills and a woman who survived. But this Laurie Strode had spent 40 years preparing for his return. Where previous versions showed her as a victim or survivor running from trauma, this Laurie had become a full-blown survivalist. She'd alienated her family, trained obsessively, and transformed her home into a fortress designed specifically to trap and kill Michael Myers. When he inevitably escaped and came for her again, she was ready. The film explores a fascinating concept: what creates the monster? Is Michael inherently evil, or did Dr. Loomis's conviction that he represented pure evil help create it? Did Haddonfield's fear and fascination feed something in him? The movie suggests Michael is as much a creation of the town's collective trauma as he is an independent entity. Halloween Kills 2021 expanded this idea, showing how Michael's presence transforms Haddonfield itself into something monstrous. A mob forms, paranoia spreads, and innocent people die. Not at Michael's hands, but because fear makes people do terrible things. The Shape becomes both a literal killer and a catalytic force that reveals the darkness within ordinary people. Meanwhile, Michael himself seems to grow stronger, more unstoppable with each kill. The film leans into supernatural elements, suggesting he literally feeds on violence and chaos. The more Haddonfield bleeds, the more powerful he becomes. He's not just killing, he's transcending.
Halloween Ends 2022 took the boldest swing yet, asking, what if evil isn't a person, but a contagion? The film introduces Corey Cunningham, a young man whose life is destroyed by a tragic accident. Haddonfield turns him into a pariah, projecting their fear and anger onto him, much like they once did with Michael. When Corey encounters the Shape, something passes between them, a recognition, a transmission of evil itself. The film posits that Michael Myers, the physical being, matters less than what he represents. He's become a symbol, an idea that can infect the vulnerable and traumatized. The mask, that blank white canvas, can be worn by anyone. The evil Michael embodied, that purposeless, motiveless violence, can take root in any fertile soil of pain and isolation. This finale suggests the Shape cannot truly be killed because it was never really alive. It's a role, a function, a manifestation of humanity's capacity for inexplicable evil. Michael Myers can die, but another Shape will eventually emerge from Haddonfield's shadows. Evil dies tonight. The mob chants this in Halloween Kills, but they're wrong. Evil doesn't die. It adapts, it spreads, it finds new vessels.
Across 13 films, countless timelines, and wildly different interpretations, Michael Myers endures as horror's most enigmatic figure. He's been a traumatized child, a supernatural entity, a family annihilator, a force of nature, and a transmissible evil. Each version reflects different fears prevalent in the era that created it. The 1970s original captured post-Vietnam anxiety about violence in everyday America. The family-focused sequels reflected 1980s concerns about domestic dysfunction. Rob Zombie's version channeled 2000's understanding of childhood trauma and cycles of abuse. The modern trilogy grapples with collective trauma, mob mentality, and how communities create their own monsters.
What remains constant is the mask, that featureless white surface that refuses to give us anything to hold on to. Behind it, Michael Myers remains unknowable. We project our fears onto that blank canvas, and it reflects them back multiplied. Is he a man? A manifestation of evil? Both? Neither? The beauty of Michael Myers lies in that ambiguity. Unlike other horror icons, he resists definitive interpretation. He is whatever we fear most: random violence, family betrayal, supernatural evil, human monstrosity, or the darkness within ourselves. On Halloween night, when shadows grow long and the wind carries the scent of autumn leaves, Michael Myers returns to Haddonfield. Not because he must, but because he is. He is the shape, walking steadily through our nightmares, head tilted, knife ready, breathing that mechanical breath that sounds nothing like life. And he's right behind you.
What terrifies you most about Michael Myers? The silent stalker from 1978? The family hunter of the sequels? Or the unkillable shape of the modern trilogy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, he's just a myth, just a movie, just a man in a mask. Until Halloween night, when you hear that breathing outside your window. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more horror deep dives. And maybe keep your doors locked tonight. Stay safe out there, or try to.